No, so you joined the military, got weapons training, and have been trying to save lives as a medic. And I think at some point they realized that you had enormous talents in terms of public awareness and communications and thinking and writing. What is the American public missing? Like, are there things that are happening on the ground that would surprise folks who just tune into mainstream news coverage?
Yes, and there's a big one, and it's a refrain that the American public oftentimes hears, but it's something that I would love for them all to see. And I'm trying to create a program where it's called Hello Ukraine. And I spoke to you briefly about that, where we would bring people over to see what's really happening. There's been no greater return on investment than what the US tax dollars are going towards in Ukraine in the last 80 years of foreign policy. And yet, what they would need to see is how much more we need. Giving us little drip by drip by drip of sourcing of weapons, humanitarian aid, and civilian aid is great, and we're appreciative. But at the same point, we could end this war in 1 to 2 months if we were able to
Wow.
get everything on the wish list now. And so sometimes it feels like we're fighting as an insurgent army, even though we're fighting with the best
You're
weapons in the
defending the
world from our
country.
US.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're defending it. And we're making do with in ways that NATO standard troops could never imagine. And there's a great point that's in a congressional research paper where it was talking about amphibious vehicles for the United States Marine Corps. The United States has learned so much about Russian weaknesses that we've been able to, in the United States, modify some of our thinking based on what the Ukrainian armed forces have been able to carry out here. What we're doing here with US tax dollars is advancing US knowledge in the areas of defense and warfare by decades versus what they would be learning in simulations. And so, what I could tell the US taxpayers is your support is not going to waste. And if you could just stay with us and tell your Congress people to get us the weapons we need, all of them right now, we will end this war and destroy Russia as a threat forever.
That's a very powerful message and something that our lawmakers need to hear. I will say, I 100% believe that any investment to support Ukrainian defense has a better ROI than anything else that we could be doing. If you imagine another world where Russia were to steamroll Ukraine, think about the costs of that world, not just in human costs, which are the obvious ones, but also of the message it sends to China and others who might consider various aggressive acts. And then the reverse, that if you can remove Russia as a global threat, that would be monumental, historic. And it's more a product of Ukrainian courage and sacrifice, obviously, than anything that is being sent to the country by the American government. How would you describe the Ukrainian people from your nearly year there?
I've never been around a group of people more certain in their beliefs and more willing to carry them out than the Ukrainian people. You talk about morale. Of course, the morale waxes and wanes because we're surrounded by death. But no one has lost the belief in victory. And this has been amazing. They talk about folks in the West being tired of the conflict. People are tired here, but they are still fully energized and fully focused on winning. And so I become inspired. It doesn't even have to be at the front lines. I could be in the middle of the country and I see somebody living in darkness and become inspired by them, knowing that they are chopping firewood when they were living with electricity 2 weeks ago, chopping firewood to stay warm and not complaining. They're going forward, ready and willing to sacrifice in whatever way, not just militarily, in order to find victory and liberate their country. And that's, I think, one of the greatest follies that people are making is trying to compare this to any other foreign intervention by the United States in the last 80 years, because ultimately this is an ally who has been invaded on their territory, has had what was known at one time as the second greatest army in the world. We now know the Russian army is really worthless and useless, except to carry out terrorism. And so this conflict, this war, this battle, in no way can be judged by anything that's happened since World War II. And the Ukrainian people are fighting it as if it was a world war, because you have Iranian drones coming in at them. You have North Korean armaments coming in at them. You have Belarus and Russia launching attacks at us, or Russia launching attacks from Belarusian territory at us. And so ultimately, you have these different countries that are all coming at Ukraine, and it's the Ukrainian people that are standing strong against this tyranny and against these tyrants.
You are an American risking your life in Ukraine. I admire you a great deal, as I'm sure anyone listening to this does. Are there people from around the world who are showing up in Ukraine? You just described kind of the assemblage of forces against Ukraine. Has there been a similar rally on the other side?
Absolutely. There's a core group of, and for security reasons, I can't say the number. There's a core group of fighters who have come over willing to sign contracts, not as mercenaries. We don't have mercenaries here. People who are signing contracts directly with the Ukrainian armed forces, fighting on behalf of Ukraine, taking this oath to defend Ukraine, not giving up their belief in their nation. I'm very proud to be from the United States, and the United States is my home. But we are choosing to sign up and pledge our honor and our courage to Ukraine in order to fight back against this worldwide tyranny. And so ultimately, you have it in the military. And then you have this tremendous, tremendous outpouring of people who have come over as civilian volunteers from places such as Canada, the Baltic countries. You have great people coming from the United States, from Australia. And so the civilian volunteer network, be it through logistics, be it through supplies, or even through hands-on medical work, is really something that is humbling to know how these people are risking their lives for this fight for freedom.